Hello everyone and welcome to Envision Academy. Today we will do the newspaper analysis of 12th February 2026 from the Assam Tribune newspaper. The topics for today, as you can see, Hoolock Gibbons and turning failure into lasting strength. This is a important topic for your essay, essay writing, and also important philosophy for our life as well. So Hoolock Gibbon, Gompai apnalage Holongapar Sanctuary. So let's begin. Gibbons at peril. এই আর্টিকেলটো আহিছিলে বিকজ এটা ট্ৰেজিক ইনচিডেণ্ট হ'ল ইলেক্ট্ৰকিউশ্যনত এটা হোলক গিবনৰ ডেথ হৈ গ'ল আমাৰ ঠিক আছে চ' দিছ ইজ ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট ফ্ৰম GS পেপাৰ 2 গভৰ্নেন্স GS পেপাৰ 3 এনভাইৰনমেণ্ট ইকোলজি GS পেপাৰ 5 আছাম পেপাৰ এণ্ড অলছ' essay পেপাৰ ঠিক আছে লেটছ চি কি হ'ল নিউজটো চাওঁ ডিষ্টাৰ্বিং এজ ইট ইজ দ্য ইলেক্ট্ৰকিউশ্যন অফ এন এণ্ডেঞ্জাৰ্ড হোলক গিবন অন দ্য ৰেলৱে ট্ৰেক্স ইনচাইড হোলোংগাপাৰ গিবন চেংচুৰী hardly comes as a surprise given that the recipe for such tragedies had been prepared meticulously by the insensitive authorities themselves. The railway line that cuts through the heart of one of Assam's most biologically diverse forests has always posed a danger to wildlife, and a prudent course of action would have been to reroute the 1.65 kilometer stretch of trek outside the forest. So, Holongapar, junto Gibbon Sanctuary, isita majedi, this trek goes. This is 1.65 kilometer, and eta Gibbon, ki hol electrocution hoy. ইলেক্ট্ৰিক ৱায়াৰৰ যোনটো ইলেক্ট্ৰিক লাইন থাকে ট্ৰেইনৰ অ'কে চ' তাতে মৃত্যু হ'ব গিবনটো অ'কে ঠিক আছে চ' বাকীখিনি ডিছকাছ কৰিম হোলক গিবন এতিয়া হোলক গিবন হয় কি ইণ্ডিয়াজ অনলি এপ অ'কে অন October 9, 2024 বস্তুটো কি হৈছিলে ইয়াৰ কণ্টেক্সটো মই দিছোঁ লিংকজৰ অ'কে দ্য ষ্টেণ্ডিং কমিটি অফ দ্য নেশ্যনেল বৰ্ড ফৰ ৱাইল্ড লাইফ NBWL chaired by Union Minister Bhupender Yadav, approved 25 kilovolt electrification of this stretch into 1.65 jonto log given majedi jay thik ase the project executed by IUCN also diverted 9 hectares of forest land and ESZ area ecologically sensitive zone area okay clearance was granted despite the Wildlife Institute of India's own report warning that electrification and any future doubling of the line would render mitigation measures futile eta ইয়াতে হোলক গিবনৰ কি হয় চেংচুৰী হয় কনজাৰ্ভেশ্যন হয় না তাৰ কাৰণে এফৰ্টছকেইটা ৰেণ্ডাৰ কৰা গৈছে বাট কি হ'ব ৱাইল্ড লাইফ ইনষ্টিটিউট অফ ইণ্ডিয়া WII ৰিপৰ্টত কৈছিলে যে ৱাৰ্ণিং ডেট ইলেক্ট্ৰিফিকেশ্যন কৰিলে যে মিটিগেশ্যনৰ মেজাৰ্ছকেইটাও ফিউটাইল হ'ব যেনেকৈ মিটিগেশ্যনৰ মেজাৰ্ছ মানে কি এনেকৈ ৰছী লগাই দিয়া যায় চ' ডেট গিবনছ এটা ষ্টেটছৰ পৰা বেলেগ ষ্টেটৰে গুচি যায় এটা এজৰ পৰা বেলেগ ছাইডলৈ গুচি যাব পাৰে ৰাইট চ' দ'জ মেজাৰ্ছ উড বি ফিউটাইল ইফ এইটো কৰা যায় বিকজ যদি পৰি যায় আৰু ইলেক্ট্ৰিকেট হৈ যায় তো হৈ গ'লে ঠিক আছে তো মৃত্যু হ'বই ত' দেট উইল বি ভেৰি মাছ মিনছ what you can say tragic for us as a the NBWL imposed conditions restrict train speeds construct animal passages and avoid energizing wires until safeguards were in place the wires were energized the passages were not functional পাৰ হৈ যোৱা পেছেজেছ কেইটা ফাংচনেল নাছিলে দ্য ফেইলাৰ অফ মিটিগেশ্যন এণ্ড আৰ্টিফিচিয়েল কেনপি ব্ৰিজ এই কেনপি ব্ৰিজ আৰ্টিফিচিয়েল এটা বনাইছিলে 2015 নেভাৰ বিন ইউজ এইটো ইউজে নহয় বোলে ইটছ ডিজাইন ইগন'ৰ্ড ব্ৰাচিয়েশ্যন এতিয়া এনেকৈ দুটা হাতে এনেকৈ ধৰি কিনে পাৰ হৈ যায় না অ'কে এটা হাত আগত আহিব আকৌ নেক্সট হাত আগত আহিব এনেকৈ পাৰ হৈ যায় দিৱন অ'কে বাট এইটো যোনটো আছিলে আৰ্টিফিচিয়েল কেনপি ব্ৰিজ এটা বনাই দিয়া গৈছিলে পাৰ হ'বৰ কাৰণে এইটো একচুৱেলি ইহঁতৰ কাৰণে এইটো চুইটেবল নহয় অ'কে The Gibbons specialized locomotion, right? Experts, including primatologist Dr. Diurnal of IUCN, had long advocated the only enduring solution: reroute this short stretch outside the sanctuary. The call was dismissed. মানে ৰেল লাইনটো বাহিৰৰ পৰা ৰিৰুট কৰিব লাগে চেংচুৰী ভিতৰৰ পৰা লৈ যাব নালাগে একচুৱেলি এইটো অলপ বাহিৰৰ পৰা লৈ যাব লাগে চ' February 8, 2026 কি হ'ল an adult male gibbon attempting to cross the canopy gap contacted a 25,000 volt overhead wire. Electrocution was instantaneous. Forest staff initially attempted to withhold the incident from public scrutiny. The death was not an accident. The death was not an accident. It was the logical conclusion of decisions made. Warnings overruled and a species forced to navigate infrastructure that treats its existence as collected. So, হোলোংগাপাৰ গিবন চেংচুৰীত হ'ল যিহেতু তাৰ বিষয়ে বেছিক ফেক্টছখিনি চাই লওক লোকেশ্যন যোৰহাট ডিষ্ট্ৰিক্টত হয় এষ্টাব্লিছ 30 July 1997 অৰিজিনেল ষ্টেটাছ ৰিজাৰ্ভ ফৰেষ্ট চিন্স ৰিজাৰ্ভ ফৰেষ্ট অ'কে নাও এৰিয়া কিমান হয় 20.98 স্কুৱেৰ কিলোমিটাৰ নেম ডাক্টৰ হোলং ট্ৰি এণ্ড গিবন ইণ্ডিয়াজ অনলি চেংচুৰী ইন ইণ্ডিয়া নেম ডাক্টৰ এট প্ৰিমেট হয় চ' দিজ আৰ দ্য বেছিক ফেক্টছ বাকীখিনি চাই ল'ব ওপৰৰ ওপৰত অ'কে Now, Hoolock Gibbon, India's only app. What are they? Hoy ki bostu kita? They are not monkeys, but apps. Apps মানে কি হয়? এনেকা বস্তু বিলাক gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, they are more close to human. Human origination of apps of হওয়া হয় না? Called lesser apps, মানে smaller than great apps. ইহঁততকে smaller. আৰু বহুত fastest of all apps. There are two species. Hoolock Gibbonৰ দুটা species আছে ইয়াত. Western Hoolock, this is endangered হৈ আছে. Okay, and Eastern Hoolock vulnerable. So, Western and Eastern. I mean, some difference to ki hai. India has only the Western Hoolock, found nowhere else in the country, exclusively found within the forested regions of Northeast India. 21 gibbon species worldwide. India has one. Out of 21 gibbon species worldwide, India has one. It is the second largest gibbon after the Siam. Life expectancy kiman hoy Hoolock Gibbon about 25 years in the wild. Now, types of Hoolock Gibbons, আমি যেহেতু চাইছিলো Western Hoolock Gibbon আৰু Eastern Hoolock Gibbon. IUCN status প্ৰথমত Western Hoolock Gibbonৰ চাই লওক একদম বহুত কমন হয় বহুত আহিব পাৰে ওকে হাই চান্স বিকজ ইটস ইন নিউজ ৰাইট সো ভালকে চাব এইখিনি IUCN status হয় Western Hoolock Gibbonৰ endangered CITES of Appendix II আছে and the Wildlife Protection Act WPS Schedule 1 cover হৈ আছে and habitat tropical evergreen rainforests, tropical evergreen forests and semi evergreen forest. This for Western Hoolock Gibbon. Distribution code হয় Northeast India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, west of Chinwin River, Southeast Asia ফালে পোৱা যায় and Eastern Hoolock Gibbon IUCN status vulnerable হয় today start to CITES Appendix 1 ত আছে Wildlife Protection Act WPS Schedule 1 habitat কি হয় evergreen forests, scrub forests, semi deciduous forests, mountainous broadleaf forests and pine forests. Distribution code হয় Myanmar, east of Chinwin River, not found in India. Usually not found এটা দুটা থাকিব পাৰে restricted to easternmost parts of Arunachal Pradesh, specifically the Dibang Valley and Loit districts. এফালে থাকিব পাৰে okay and Eastern Assam, specifically the Sadiar subdivision of the Tinsukia district. So এইখিনি জেগাত এটা দুটা আপুনি পাব পাৰে but usually পোৱা নাযায় দেখা নাযায় এইটো এতিয়া where do they live? Northeast India, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura, Western Hoolock Gibbon. Also Bangladesh and Myanmar, west of Chinwin River. Habitat tall evergreen and semi-evergreen forests to Saisilami, dense canopy, prefers holong trees, holongapar, and hence the sanctuary's name. Need continuous canopy, never come to ground are both common, rare and cannot cross open land. Usually enake khuz karibole kosto paয়. আচ্ছা দেখিবলৈ কেনেকুৱা হয় Hoolock Gibbon এটো মেল হয় চাইলক এটো ফিমেল হয় ওকে আর মেলসৰ কি হয় ব্ল্যাক বডি হয় হোয়াইট আইব্রোজ স্ট্রাইকিং লাইক পেইন্টেড ওকে স্ট্রাইক পেইন্টেড ফিমেলস কি ধুনিয়া ন females gray brown darker chest and throat look both have white rings around eye and mouth mask like face infants are khorpoli born milky white darken and they darken with age slender hoy body to and very long arms and longer than legs even the arms are longer than legs so it easy hoy move koribole gose dale no tail na thake tailless hoy to bahut important feature hoy moi highlight kori disu exam আহিব পাৰে directly prelims question বনিব পাৰে and the common features male and female similar in size different in color white rings around eyes and mouth ঠিক আছে now how do they move এওঁলোকৰ movement কি বুলি কোৱা হয় brachiation or কি হয় swing hand over hand under branches দেখিছে না বান্দগিলা কেনে move হয় hand over hand ball and socket wrist joints এওঁলোকৰ থাকে only app with this only app with ball and socket wrist joints তেওঁলোকক help কৰে এনেকে move কৰিবলৈ swing কৰিবলৈ perfect for swinging and can cover 6 meters in one swing. Eta swingok 6 meter agale di jaba pare. So they are the fastest of all apps. Speed 55 km per hour through trees. So very good speed, right? 55 kilometers per hour. And bike scooty jungle chalale to Hoolock Gibbon cross kori jaba obviously. Height often 200 feet above ground. Cannot walk on ground properly. Because of predator fear and rarely descend. ঠিক আছে? Cannot walk on ground properly. What common hai? How do they live? কেনেকে থাকে social structure monogamous nuclear families one male one female আৰু তেওঁলোকৰ বাচ্চা offspring made for life okay monogamous territory size 20 to 40 hectares defended fiercely from other gibbons okay breeding rate one baby every 2 to 3 years 2 বছৰৰ পৰা 3 বছৰৰ ভিতৰত এটা বেবি হয় and gestation period 7 months pregnancy infancy dependent on mothers for 2 years age of maturity 8 to 9 years of mature ho jay aru lifespan approximately 25 years size wild now daily rhythm kene kwa temkor diurnal aru arboreal hoy diurnal mane ki hoy active during daytime sleep at night high in trees, ওপৰত treesৰ একদম ওপৰত হাইটত থাকে. Never descend to ground unless forced because of fear of predators. এইখিনি পঢ়ি আহিছোঁ. Entire life, they eating, sleeping, mating, raising young, traveling occurs in the canopy. Okay. So entire life canopyতে থাকে, ওপৰতে থাকে, গছৰ ওপৰত হাইটতে থাকে. Come down only if canopy breaks. Canopy যদি ভাঙি যায় তেতিয়াহ'লে, গছ যদি ভাঙি যায় বা ডাল ভাঙি যায় তেতিয়াহে তলত আহিব, আৰু ইউজুৱেলি আৰু তেনেকৈ আহিলেতো অবভিয়াছলি ডেথ হোৱা চান্স থাকে ন. দিছ ইজ ৱেন ডেথ অকাৰ্ছ. আৰু যদি এনেকৈ কেনপি সৰি পৰি ব্ৰাঞ্চ ভাঙি গ'ল বোলে ওপৰৰ পৰা, তো পৰি কিনে আপোনাৰ এনেকৈ যোনটো এতিয়াতো ইলেক্ট্ৰিফিকেশ্যন হৈ গৈছে ৰেল লাইনো, চ' তাতে আহি ডাইৰেক্ট তাৰতে পৰিব আৰু ডেথ হৈ যায়, ৰাইট. ডাইটটো কি হয়? ফ্ৰুটছ, ইনচেক্টছ, লিভছ, ভেৰি চেড. আৰু ভইচটো কেনেকুৱা? লাউড, হণ্টিং ডুৱেট, মেল এণ্ড ফিমেল চিং টুগেডাৰ, হাৰ্ড আপ টু 2 kilometers. Okay, called songbirds of primate world, most musical land mammal, songbirds of primate world বুলি কোৱা. Purpose কিহৰ কাৰণে song হয়? Locate family, warn intruders, strengthen pair bond. In Thailand folklore আছে Thailandত, queen of the forest বুলি কয়. Poachers also use their song to find them. এইটো poachers তো obviously hunters আৰু poachers হয় ন, illegally যোনে hunt কৰে হয় না, kill কৰে, তো তেওঁলোকৰ কাৰণে এইটো ইজি হৈ যায় তেওঁলোকক ট্ৰেক কৰা. What they eat? Fruits, 60 to 70% of diet. Figs খায়. Figs মানে কি হয়? ডিমৰু, এইটো বস্তু ডিমৰু, ৰাইট. লিভছ, ফ্লাৱাৰ্ছ, ইনচেক্টছ এইবিলাকো খায়. ড্ৰিংক ৱাটাৰ ফ্ৰম লিভছ এণ্ড ৰেইন, ৰেয়াৰলি ড্ৰিংক ফ্ৰম গ্ৰাউণ্ড. মানে ৰেইন আৰু লিভছৰ পৰাই বেছিভাগ পানী খায়, কাৰণ তলতো নাহে ইমান. Being monogamous, the western Hoolock Gibbon is known to go long distances to find mates. Hearing the high-pitched calls, okay, of a female gibbon, young males have been known to cross from the first compartment to others for mating in the Hollongapa Gibbon Sanctuary. ঠিক আছে. এতিয়া why are they dying? কিয় মৃত্যু কিয় হৈ আছে? First is habitat lost. Habitat is lost. Habitat loss ৰ কাৰণে biggest killer. Forest cut for tea, timber, settlements হয় না, ফৰেষ্টবিলাক কাট কৰা যায় চাহ খেতিৰ কাৰণে, টিম্বাৰ মানে কাঠৰ কাৰণে আৰু ছেটেলমেণ্টছ ঘৰ বনোৱাৰ কাৰণে. হলংগাপাৰ নাও ফৰেষ্ট আইলেণ্ড নিচিনা হৈ গৈছে. চাৰিওফালে কি হয়? ছাৰাউণ্ডেড বাই টি গাৰ্ডেনছ, ন' কানেক্টিভিটি. এটা ফৰেষ্টৰ পৰা বেলেগ ফৰেষ্ট যাবলৈ এওঁলোকতো জংগলী হেৰি হয় না, বস্তু হয়. চ' দে শুড হেভ এ গ্ৰেট মুভিং এৰিয়া, ৰাইট. তো বাট সেইটো যদি নাপায়, আইলেণ্ড হৈ থাকে, দেন অবভিয়াছলি পপুলেশ্যনটো কম হৈ আহিব ন উইথ টাইম, ইনব্ৰিডিং হৈ থাকিব. 32 acres rainforest lost per minute globally. এইটো এটা ডাটা হয়. Fragmentation, railways, roads cut through canopy. Gibbons cannot cross, families trapped on small sides, gene pool shrinks, inbreeding occurs, right? Fragmentation, railway বনাই দিছে, railway line. Electrocution হয় এটা, overhead wires on railway lines, gibbon swings, touches wire, instant death. তো ইয়াৰ এক্সাম্পল হ'ল February 8, 2026, male gibbon electrocuted at Hollongapa. Other threats, poaching for meat, medicine, pet threat, tourism pressure, not এইটো ইমান মেজৰ নহয় বাৰু এতিয়া. Poaching for meat, medicine, pet threat, এইকেইটাও থ্ৰেট হয়, ৰাইট. এতিয়া এইটো যোনটো ইনচিডেণ্ট হ'ল, এইটোৰ বেকগ্ৰাউণ্ড অলপ আছিলে যে ইণ্ডিয়ান ৰেলৱেজে 41.99 লাখ ইন February 2004 গেভ ফৰ নিউ কেনপি ব্ৰিজেছ. এটা কেনপি, এটা জেগা, এটা লাইন ক্ৰছ কৰিব, ৰেল লাইন ক্ৰছ কৰিবৰ কাৰণে এনেকৈ ৰছী বান্ধি দিয়ে ন, দুই চাইডে ৰছী কেনপি থাকে আৰু এনেকৈ নেট ফেঞ্চিং থাকে. অ'কে, চ' পৰি গ'লেও তাতে পৰিব. চ' বাট এইটো কি হ'ল? ভালকৈ ষ্ট্ৰাকচাৰাইজ নহয়. ব্ৰিজেছ মেড ফ্ৰম জাৰ্মান মাউণ্টেইন ৰ'প, মডেল অন হাইনান গিবন ছাকচেছ ইন চাইনা. তো ইয়াৰ পৰা মডেল আছিলে. নাও চেফটি নেটছ বিলো ব্ৰিজেছ এজ ফেইল ছেফ মেকানিজম টু কেচ ফলিং গিবন. যদি পৰিও যায়, দেন ফেইল ছেফ মেকানিজম ৱাজ দেয়াৰ, চেফটি নেট ৱাজ দেয়াৰ. এণ্ড ইনট্ৰুজন ডিটেকশ্যন ড্ৰাইভছ ফৰ এলিফেণ্টছ, এইটোও দিছে ইণ্ডিয়ান ৰেলৱে. 3.04 crore over 33 kilometer stretch. Electrification went ahead, bridges were installed, wires were energized, মানে wires electricity flow হৈ আছে. But the bridges are not mitigation, right? এইটো যোনটো ব্ৰিজ দিছিলে, মই এইটো আপোনালোকৰ কেনপি ব্ৰিজ, আৰ্টিফিচিয়েল কেনপি ব্ৰিজ, দিট ইজ নট solution. They are not mitigation. They are just the connectivity tools, not safeguards against electrocution. তাৰত লাগি গ'লেতো মৃত্যু হ'বই, এইখিনিতো বচাব নোৱাৰে ন. The railway itself is the hazard. এতিয়া ৱাইল্ড লাইফ ইনষ্টিটিউট অফ ইণ্ডিয়াই ৰিকমেণ্ড কৰিছিলে ৰিৰুট কৰিবলৈ ৰেলৱে লাইন. ৱাইল্ড লাইফ ইনষ্টিটিউট অফ ইণ্ডিয়াই ক্লিয়াৰলি ষ্টেটেড only long-term solution is to move the track outside the sanctuary. Why rerouting is possible? Because stretch is only 1.65 kilometer. So you can reroute কৰা যাব পাৰিব ন, right? আৰু adjoining revenue and non-forest land exist. ওচৰত obviously non-forest land আছে. So why not utilize that? Why not bring the rail line outside the forest? Why not let the human-animal conflict do not let it prevail over in the sanctuary? Railways already spends crores on mitigation that does not work. That money could instead fund permanent relocation. এইখিনি পইচা permanent relocation লগাই দিয়ক হৈ গ'ল ন এটা আৰ্টিকেলত কৈছিলে যে মেনশ্যন আছিলে যে আফ্ৰিকাৰ পৰা আমি কিবা এটা শিকিব লাগিব এটা কি কৰিছিলে আফ্ৰিকাই তাহাঁতে একক বচাবৰ কাৰণে দ্য আফ্ৰিকান মডেল 3 countries namely Rwanda, Uganda and Democratic Republic of Congo DRC one app one plan এনেকৈ আহিছে 3 countries share one population of mountain gorillas. Only 720 individuals remain in 2008, threatened by habitat loss, poaching, forest destruction. Okay. In February 2008, the three nations launched a 10-year transboundary strategic plan. এটা জংগলী বস্তু দেয়াৰ wild animals, right? Wild animals. So, জংগলৰ পৰা এটা জংগলৰ পৰা বেলেগ জংগললৈ যাওঁ ন চ' ইয়াত যদি বৰ্ডাৰ চিনি নাপায় তেওঁলোকে ৰাইট এইটো ইণ্ডিয়া হয় এইটো বাংলাদেশ হয় এইটো এৰিয়া ম্যানমাৰ হয় চ' দে ডু নট ন' দ্য বৰ্ডাৰ্ছ ৰাইট চ' এটা কাণ্ট্ৰিৰ পৰা বেলেগ কাণ্ট্ৰি ট্ৰান্সবাউণ্ডাৰী মুভমেণ্ট কৰিবই ৰাইট চ' তিনিটা কাণ্ট্ৰি একেলগত প্লান এটা লৈ আহিলে ওৱান এপ ওৱান প্লান ট্ৰান্সবাউণ্ডাৰী 10-year ট্ৰান্সবাউণ্ডাৰী ষ্ট্ৰেটেজিক প্লান দে এগ্ৰিড টু ৱৰ্ক এক্ৰছ বৰ্ডাৰ্ছ এলাইনিং লজ পলিচিজ এণ্ড কনজাৰ্ভেশ্যন ষ্ট্ৰেটেজিজ চ' এইখিনি কাম আমি কিয় কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ সেইটো কুৱেশ্যন কৰিছে একচুৱেলি আৰ্টিকেলে অ'কে and what they did কি কৰিলে gorillas don't know borders neither should conservation same rules across 3 countries no loopholes no safe havens for poachers tourism revenue shared livelihoods linked to gorilla survival governments own the plan not just NGOs it was 10-year strategy not quick fixes 10 বছৰ strategy আছিল the result mountain gorillas are the only great ape whose population is increasing so it was result right fruitful result from 720 in 2008 to over 1000 today 1000 অতকে বেশি আছে tourism generates US $5 million annually for these countries and communities protect gorillas because gorillas bring income look so nice right now what India can learn rerouting is not radical it is done elsewhere also app conservation requires transboundary thinking political ownership is not non-negotiable tourism revenue can fund protection Hoolock Park has 7 primate species India's highest diversity yet no sustainable tourism model exists to fund its conservation and there should be balance between ecology and economy because it is possible right the important keywords asile je lesser apes ki hoy diurnal arboreal mane living mainly in the trees brachiation swinging from branch to branch using long arms so ekin jodi drilling sot apnaloke dekhe tetale bhoy na khabo ever side of easy hoy link koribo relate kori lobo pairu so yate article mention asile wildlife protection act or kotha 1972 the wildlife protection act 1972 what is it It was passed by the government of India in 1972 and came into effect in 1973. It is the main law in India to protect wild animals, birds, plants, forest habitats. It controls hunting, poaching, and illegal trade of wildlife products. It also allows the government to create protected forest areas. Some your objectives will like the act aims to protect endangered species and stop them from becoming extinct. Regulate hunting and prevent illegal killing. Control buying, selling, and trading of wildlife and animal parts. Create protected areas like national parks and sanctuaries, encourage peaceful coexistence between humans and wildlife. Now, key provisions of the act, wildlife ki bujha jaya under this act. The term wildlife includes land animals, aquatic animals, birds, insects, fish, plants, forest vegetation, basically everything that forms part of a natural habitat. আৰু wildlife advisory board set up কৰা কথা কৈছে যে each state সব ৰাজ্যই forms a wildlife advisory board form কৰিব লাগে আৰু তাৰ ৰোলটো কি হ'ব advise on selecting areas for national parks right select areas for national parks etu karone advice dibo and sanctuaries guide wildlife conservation policies and balance tribal rights and forest protection now aru eta bostu set up koribole koy je central zoo authority it also and powers set up of central zoo authority etu juntu ase which controls and monitors all the zoos across India eta bahut kini question dekha goise PYQ okay so may expect a question as controls central zoo authority controls and monitors zoos across India ensures proper care of animals and maintains conservation standards ownership of wildlife all wild animals except vermin mane harmful for people belong to the government animal trophies skins horns etc are state property illegal possession or sale is punishable but yete supreme court aru madras high court ruling ase je it does not belong to the government only solely it belong to us also the people also in general the communities also right so everyone has a responsibility of protecting them our responsibility hoy ami protect koribo lage sob wild animals because etu koy but court e beleg eta ruling dikini koisile je it does not belong to the government alone it belongs to the communities it belongs to us the people so everyone should care responsibility because we are the stakeholders here also right Now, Wildlife Protection Act সবতছে ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট বস্তু এইটো হয় যে আগতে এইটো আগৰটো হয় শিডিউলছ আণ্ডাৰ দ্য এক্ট আপোনাৰ 6টা শিডিউল আছিলে শিডিউল 1 and 2 শিডিউল 3 and 4 শিডিউল 5 and শিডিউল 6 Now শিডিউল 1 and 2 হাইলি এন্ডেঞ্জাৰ্ড স্পিচিছ আছিলে ইয়াত যাক নেকি এবসলিউট প্ৰটেকশ্যন দিয়া যায় ষ্ট্ৰিক্ট পানিশমেণ্ট 1 to 6 years জেইল আৰু ফাইন দিয়া যায় ফাইনো দিব লাগিব এণ্ড এক্সাম্পলছ কোনকেইটা এনিমেল থোৱা যায় tigers elephants etc and schedule 3 and 4 not critically endangered protection exists but penalties are lighter example hyena nilgai etc and schedule 5 vermin species can be hunted with proper permission like rats crows etc because jodi harmful hoy people er karone agriculture destroy kore ba harmful hoy then they could be hunted with proper permission schedule 6 certain protected plants control their cultivation and trade example beddoms sisal okay now hunting rules hunting animals in schedule 1 to 4 is generally banned 1 to 4 banned hoy but the chief wildlife warden can give permission dibo pare chief wildlife warden if the animal is dangerous to humans and the animal is diseased or is needed for education or research purposes the wildlife sanctuaries kune declared by the state governments protect important natural ecosystems some regulated activities may be allowed national parks declared by state legislature very strict protection boundaries cannot be changed without approval of legislature prohibited hunting grazing cutting trees exploitation of resources now wildlife protection amendment act ahil apnalkor 2021 moi jehetu koisilu je ekini purana provision purana act to and notun juntu amendment hol changes anile the law was updated in 2021 to strengthen wildlife protection now schedules have been reduced earlier sota schedule asile ami dekhisilu now they have been reduced to 4 schedules for clarity new structure schedule 1 ki ase highest protection if someone harms an animal listed here in the schedule 1 the punishment will be very severe example hegita tiger elephant rhinoceros snow leopard highly protected species schedule 2 all lesser protection ase animals these animals are protected but punishment is slightly less strict compared to schedule 1 schedule 3 protected plants kita ase right certain rare plants cannot be grown sold or traded without government permission schedule 4 CITES listed species eta CITES ki ami hetu sab in detail if a species is protected globally for trade reasons it is included here ঠিক আছে now CITES implementation India aligned this act with CITES international wildlife trade agreement species under global trade rules get protection in India aru eta bostu amendment kori anise je control of invasive alien species right water hyacinth jenekwa government can now prohibit regulate remove invasive foreign species so amendment kori ekini bostu changes kora hoise now it is also amendment kori penalties bilako increase korise earlier 25000 now minimum fine 1 lakh stronger punishment to deter wildlife crime stronger sanctuary management consultation with Gram Sabha is mandatory voluntary surrender people surrender if people can surrender the captive animals or trophies no compensation will be given controversial provision allows commercial transfer of live elephants under certain conditions eto upon controversial hoy je commercial transfer of live elephants under certain conditions this has been debated by conservationists now IUCN er kotha goisile je junto eastern Hoolock Gibbon western Hoolock Gibbon eta vulnerable asile right eta ki asile endangered asile right so what is IUCN kun hoy IUCN ki hoy what is IUCN the IUCN International Union for Conservation of Nature is an international organization NGO that works for nature conservation sustainable use of natural resources okay it works through data collection and analysis scientific research kore field conservation projects agborai and policy advocacy and lobbying kore environmental education impart kore for the world headquarters kod ase IUCN er Gland Switzerland now IUCN red list data boli koa hoy red data list red book the IUCN red list of threatened species was started in 1964 it is the world's most detailed and scientific system for assessing the conservation status of species it tells us which species are safe and which are threatened which are close to extinction right etia low risk of ebilak categorization hoy je near threatened least concern right critically tar bisot vulnerable tar bisot endangered critically endangered extinct in wild aru totally extinct so eneke risks to bari ahe okay now IUCN classification system 9 categories sub increasing risk of extinction all species etia not evaluated eta thake aru eta thake jar neki data ami na pao data deficient and another is least concern jar neki eko concern nai thike ase tar population bahut ase thrive kori ase komi jwa nai okay aru eta thake near threatened tar pisot common mane yat efale sab risk to bari goi ase increasing risk of extinction like near threatened word kita bostu relate korok word kita then ahibo near threatened er pisot vulnerable tar pisot vulnerable pisot ki hobo endangered hobo species eta. Okay, species eta endangered hobo, and after it gets endangered it becomes critically endangered, and after it gets critically endangered etu wild up khatame hoi jabo, khekhe hoi jabo, jeneke dodo to totally extinct hoi gol, tarpishot extinct in wild hoi jabo, okol conservation breeding center ot thakibo naiba zoo eibilakot thakibo, wild ot totally extinct hoi jabo, tar pisot ahibo extinction, gote species to naike hoi jabo, dodo sarai boli koy no, dodo sarai totally extinct, right? So etu kotha threatened categories tinta ase ya, etu লক্ষ্য কৰিব, এইখিনি জেগাতে কনজারভেশন মেজার্স কিটা স্ট্রং কৰিব লাগে, নহলে বস্তু লাহেকে এক্সটিংক্ট ইন ওয়াইল্ড হৈ যাব, তাৰপিছত এক্সটিংক্ট হ'ব। তো থ্ৰেটেণ্ড কেটেগৰিজত কি কি আহিব? ভালনাৰেবল, এন্ডেঞ্জাৰ্ড আৰু ক্ৰিটিকেলি এন্ডেঞ্জাৰ্ড, ৰাইট? এটা আৰু এটা বস্তু আছিলে যে ৰেড লিষ্ট পেজেছ চিষ্টেম, পিংক পেজেছ এটা থাকে, কণ্টেইনছ ক্ৰিটিকেলি এন্ডেঞ্জাৰ্ড স্পিচিছ, আৰু গ্ৰীণ পেজেছ থাকে, স্পিচিছ that were once endangered but have recovered, no longer threatened. Okay, as time passes, unfortunately, pink pages are increasing, not the green pages. কিছুমান স্পিচিছ এনেকুৱা হয় যে যোনটো এটা টাইমত এন্ডেঞ্জাৰ্ড আছিল, সেইটো এতিয়া ৰিকভাৰ হৈ আছে বা এতিয়া থ্ৰেটেণ্ড হৈ থকা নাই, পপুলেশ্যন বাঢ়ি আছে। অ'কে, চ' এইখিনিয়ে বস্তু মই ইয়াতে লিখি দিছোঁ, চাই ল'ব এবাৰ, all the 9 lists. Okay, categorization. Okay. Now, CITES, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. So, international trade junto hai endangered species or about. So, wild fauna and flora duta hai. Okay, plants and animals. So, tak regulate kore etu ki hai? CITES hai, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Now, what it does, ensures international trade in wildlife does not threaten survival of species, ensures that international trade in wildlife does not threaten its survival of those particular species. It was adopted in 1973 and came in force in 1975. Member parties 184 countries, species covered 38,000 plus. Secretariat code আছে UNEP Geneva, United Nations Environment Program Geneva. Meeting COP every 2 to 3 years of হয়। আর legally binding হয় না CITES rule কিটা? Yes, parties must implement it. But কি হয়? But it does not replace national laws. Countries এ তাৰ পিছত need their own legislation to enforce CITES. So যেনেকে আমাৰ Wildlife Protection Act সেইটো বস্তু মেনশ্যন কৰিছোঁ আমি, right? Okay. Now, ইয়াতেও আমি দেখিছোঁ যে CITES Appendix 2 আছিলে, তো Appendix 1, 2, 3 তিনটা appendix আছে, right? What it means? Appendix 1, threatened with extinction, highest protection হয়, no commercial trade. Appendix 2, not yet threatened but may become so without trade controls. Trade control যদি নাথাকে তেন্তে threatened হ'ব পাৰে, ইয়াতে trade allowed থাকে but regulated। আৰু Appendix 3, a country has listed the species domestically and asks other parties for trade help. ইয়াতেও trade থাকে but trade কৰিব পাৰে but regulated manner। Okay. Now, based on all this we have seen, I have given a prelims practice question যোনটো আমি ইয়াতে solve কৰিম আজি। Consider the following statements regarding the conservation status of gibbons in India. Both western and eastern Hoolock gibbons found in India are listed under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The western Hoolock gibbon is classified as endangered, while the eastern Hoolock gibbon is classified as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. Both species are listed under Appendix 1 of CITES. Which of the above statements either are correct? Okay, so both species A2 listed under Appendix 1 hoy neki, no hoy neki, 2 asil neki, so 1 to correct hoy, okay. Both western and eastern gibbons found in India are listed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The western Hoolock gibbon is classified as endangered, while the eastern Hoolock gibbon is classified as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. Okay, so 1 and 2 are correct. Okay, so gibbons are listed under CITES Appendix 2, not Appendix 1. Appendix 1 prohibits commercial trade entirely. Appendix 2 allows regulated trade with permits. Okay, eto eta question aru eta disu moi yate apnaloke answer to comment section ot janabo. Consider the following pairs protected area well known for. Okay, eto sai kine apnaloke mok kobo konto kodda uttor hobo. Okay, one main practice question is also here. Human wildlife conflict is not merely an ecological issue, but a reflection of developmental imbalance and shrinking habitats. Discussed with special reference to Assam. Yet a hint answer etao disu moi just for your reference purpose answer kenike thakibo lage. Eta intro thakibo lage, main body to core demand of the question to address hobo lage, aru eta conclusion thakibo lage. With after the core demand is addressed, apnalok way forward dibo pare, suggestions dibo pare, right? So etu ebar sai lobo, thik ase. Now, the second article I have taken is from 10th of February, I guess. So, yate bahut dhuniya ta এছে টপিক টাইপ এটা মানে আৰু লাইফৰ ফিলচফিৰ লগতো এলাইন হৈ আছে চ' যিহেতু চবৰ লগতে মেটচ হ'ব চবৰ লগতে চবে ৰিলেট কৰিব পাৰিব চ' সেইকাৰণে মই এইটো লৈ আহিছোঁ কাইণ্ডলি চাব আৰু ইয়াতে অকণমান আইচলেশ্যনত চালে বেছি ভাল চ' ডেট ইউ গেট ইন টু ইট ইউ ৰিয়েলাইজ ইট এণ্ড ইউ গেট মটিভেটেড এণ্ড ইনস্পায়াৰ্ড এগেইন টাৰ্নিং ফেইলাৰ ইন টু লাষ্টিং ষ্ট্ৰেট বাই ডক্টৰ অংকিতা শৰ্মা বৰুৱা ইজ ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট ফ্ৰম এছ এ পেপাৰ এইটো মই ৰিড কৰি যাম একচুৱেলি বিকজ বহুত ভাল লাগিল মোক Failures are like bricks which, when replaced one upon another, build the pillar of success. The full value and significance of success in life can be realized only when we reach it after climbing the steps of failure. The sweetness of success increases for those who taste it after enduring the bitter fruits of failure. We often admire famous and successful people, scientists, leaders, artists, and entrepreneurs. We usually see only their success and talent and assume they are merely lucky or naturally gifted. What often goes unnoticed is something far more important, that is their hard work and determination. It was to ami notice nokoro, but it was to look at it. It was to ami nasao, right? Great people do not achieve success easily. They face numerous failures and difficulties, just like everyone else. The difference is that they never give up. They keep trying, learning, and improving. What truly sets them apart is not luck or talent, but their attitude towards failure. Instead of being discouraged, they treat failure as a lesson and continue moving forward. Thomas Alva Edison, or example, one of the greatest scientists of the century, viewed his 1000th failed attempts at inventing the light bulb not as failures but as necessary steps. So very nice example towards success. His unwavering determination kept him from giving up, proving that many people fail simply because they quit just when they are closest to a breakthrough. If you fail, never give up, because fail, F-A-I-L, means first attempt in learning, said by Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, the nation's missile man and 11th president. During his career, Dr. Kalam encountered several setbacks: the premature end of the hovercraft project Nandi, the abandonment of Rato, and the failed launch of the SLV-3 satellite. While the entire nation watched, instead of surrendering, he learned from these mistakes and successfully launched the Rohini satellite into orbit less than a year later. Despite a failed business and unsuccessful acting career and the loss of his first character's copyright, Walt Disney refused to quit. Even after creating Mickey Mouse, he faced more than 300 rejections before securing support to build his empire. His persistence proved that the difference between winning and losing is often simply the refusal to give up. Before achieving success with Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling has 12 rejections while struggling with unemployment and poverty. By persisting to a 13th publisher, she demonstrated that self-belief and resilience in the face of failure are often essential precursors to greatness. At times, others may fail to recognize potential and reject unconventional ideas. Yet, one must not surrender individuality merely to conform to others. Why should we surrender our individuality? We need to do what we think is right. Okay. Oprah Winfrey was once rejected for being too emotional for television, the very quality she later used to transform talk shows and achieving enduring success. Later on, that only became her strength, right? What others perceive as a flaw can often become one's greatest strength one day. Success is not about never failing. It is about having the courage to try one more time, then one falls, right? After losing his kingdom to invaders, King Robert Bruce hid in a remote cave, defeated and despairing. There he observed a spider attempting to reach the ceiling. It failed 6 times but succeeded on the 7th attempt. Inspired by this persistence, the king gathered his army, fought with renewed determination, and reclaimed his kingdom. It is said that if Abraham Lincoln had abandoned his pursuit after repeated failures, history might have been very different. Lincoln rose on the national stage largely because of his perseverance through setbacks. In 1858, he contested an election from Illinois and lost, but he did not give up. 2 years later, he contested the US presidential election with renewed enthusiasm and emerged victorious. motivate whole अपन लोग. I got too much motivated. I got too much inspired by reading this article. Right? Now, what is the core theme of the essay? Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the foundation of success. The essay argues that success becomes meaningful only after struggle. Great achievers face repeated setbacks. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary people is attitude towards failure. Persistence matters more than talent or luck, right? Now, what this essay teaches us? That failure is education. Fail, first attempt in learning. Failure is volume, 1,000 ways that did not work for Thomas Alva Edison, right? Success is a numbers game. More attempts, more chances of success, right? Failure is feedback. Rejection is redirection. Rejection does not mean you are worthless. It means you have not found the right yes yet. Okay. So do not get demotivated. Do not leave anything in between. Okay. আমি কন্টিনিউ কৰি থাকিব লাগিব. We need to do our duty. We need to fulfill it. হাৰি যোৱা মানে কি? Until I am dead, I am not defeated. I'll not get defeated. Only death means I am defeated. So death নাই যদি জীৱন যেতিয়ালৈকে আছে আমি যুঁজি থাকিব লাগে, right? That's the only thing this article is saying. This is essence. Failure is filter. It removes the quitters. Failure is identity. Your weakness can become your strength one day. What they reject you for today may be what they celebrate you for tomorrow. Right? It is not the fall that matters. It is the getting up. Failure is patience. Failure is ordinary. What you don't see. We see successful people after they win. We don't see the rejections, that's the sleepless nights and the mockery that they face from the society. Now, for us, for we, the aspirants, every mock test you fail, every interview you don't clear, every year you wait is not waste. It is the pillar rising. Quitting guarantees failure. Persistence guarantees eventual success. So remember this and get motivated, get inspired with a new vigor. Start studying from today itself. Thank you. And here is one practice essay. Just kindly attempt it. Attitude determines altitude. Similar to what we discussed. Okay. Thank you very much. See you again tomorrow.